back, Olivier. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And of course, thank you for having us here. This is your baby here. You just heard what Haitham said about the upside. You believe in that?
We strongly believe in that. We also have to realize that how we make it happen. And the point is that we started Kasada when I was a little bit tired of being on conference talking about the opportunities, the potential, and very little happened. And this is how we started Kasada. How we transform the sector and we give a chance to address the needs in the market. And we operate in a very fragmented market. 81% of the hotels on the African continent are owned by individuals or families to face a number of challenges. And I wish that what was presented earlier this morning would have been true in terms of ADR, in terms of good news with the exchange rate.
But you saw those figures, and I was sitting next to you when you were shaking your head a little bit.
Absolutely. So it seems that our friends at Westmont had a discussion with Philippe. Well, we need to have a discussion as well. Because here it's fundamental. It's how the owner, how the investor are in capacity to operate in environment that makes sense. So Kasada, we are strongly committed to generating a sustainable, positive impact, but while also ensuring attractive risk-adjusted return for investors. So that's two key pillars, and we have to work on parallel with these two key pillars. You need, and the good news is that we are not the only one to do that. So we have, and in the room, a number of other investors. But the point is that if financing is very difficult to access in Africa and costly, if construction costs are more than expensive than other places in the world, if the performance in the market, number of visitors, thanks for all the questions raised about the connectivity, the visa, occupancy rate in the market, average last year around 50%, even a little bit below, like a number of other markets, it's very challenging for the investor to maintain and meet all the expectations from the guests in terms of guest experience to put the necessary capex in the property. So we need to transform the model. We need to push the boundaries. And this is something that has to be done with a coordination between the different market players.
And of course the government itself, because we can talk connectivity till we're blue in the face, but if your occupancy rates are still flat, right, what do?
So there is awareness, education that is needed with the government, to really have that the partnership public-private sector has a true meaning, and with the banks, with the DFIs and with the bank. And the good news, and really a very warm thanks to Benj for that. Yesterday we had this investor council, which was, I believe, a great start and a very good discussion. 10 people around the table, but a circle that will enlarge, and other investors are more than welcome, representing already 10,000 rooms, more than 10,000 employees, where there was a lot of exchange, very engaged about this type of challenge and how we can raise the voice and how we can, in a constructive manner, have the discussion with the public authorities, with the banks, for a better understanding of the challenge and to find solution and work on it.
There's a famous American movie called Field of Dreams, and the concept of the movie is, if we build it, they will come. Does that apply here if you can't get them here?
Subject to getting the airline to come and...
I mean, how do the banks loan? Because they're looking at the same numbers you are.
The point is that when we discuss about the potential, we have things that are absolutely unique on the continent, which is the fact that today it's, again, 2% of the travelers worldwide. So in a territory where over-tourism does not exist on the continent. So you have the space, you have the population,
and you have the demand if they can get here.
Absolutely. So if we can, that's why we look really at the glass half full. We're really confident. It's just how we can really transform the sector, push the boundaries, and make it happen with the different key stakeholders involved.
So then that gets down to demographics. What kind of visitor, what kind of guest are you looking for?
There is something very interesting when you look at the number, is that in the most visited destination, average 80% of the visitors are domestic market.
Surprise.
So I guess US, France, number of other countries, 80% of visitors are on domestic market. Africa, it's 40%. So there is a huge gap. So the future is, yes, we'll have to take care of long haul and to facilitate all of this. And it's interesting, by the way, to see number of visitors from US, South Africa, here in the region, Morocco. So we see really a trend which is quite attractive. However, in terms of numbers, it's important that first, people living on the African continent have the connectivity and the capacity to
within the
travel
continent. Yes.
within the continent.
That brings up the interesting story that I learned many, many years ago. I was talking to the CEO of Marriott, who was boasting to me at the time that they were opening up one new hotel every 17 hours. And Hilton said they were opening up one new hotel every 24 hours. And it was like staggering. I'm going, where? Where was it? It was China. And why was it China? Not for the US market, not for the European market, for the Chinese market traveling regionally within that huge country. That's really what you're talking about.
3 weeks ago, there was Sébastien Bazin, Chairman CEO of Accor, on a conference in France with investors about African continent. And we discussed before, and I gave him a few points for the conference. And then I just told him, and he realized that the number of hotels opened by Accor in a month,
it's scary,
worldwide, correspond to the total number of hotels opened last year on the African continent.
In 1 month?
In 1 month of Accor. Full year, full continent of Africa. So there is room for improvement, and that's why we have to work collectively to address the opportunities, because true opportunities exist on the African continent.
So as you look at your own investment opportunities and challenges, and you look at the region in general, the example that comes to mind to me is Rwanda, because they made a decision, they made a conscious decision to essentially become a little bit more elite, to price themselves higher so that they were not going to go for the numbers, they were going to go for the quality. How do you grow hotels and in that investment capacity with that philosophy?
We are investor in Rwanda. And again, it's always a combination of the macroeconomic environment and the potential on the market. And Rwanda, the ease of doing business and what is done to encourage investor is something which also has an impact. Because again, we enjoy a lot, and it's very important to have discussion with the Minister of Tourism. But when, as Kasada, when we invest, we have several countries, we invest over $100 million. So when you invest more than $100 million in a country, you are a serious investor. You need to discuss about tax incentive. You have to discuss, and it was raised, education, which is fundamental in our industry. We have to discuss about transport infrastructure and tourism. But this is the full ecosystem which really matters.
Well, given your investment level, you can actually drive infrastructure development. You can drive education. You can even drive taxi cabs. I mean, it's everything that goes into that picture. You just have to have the conversation.
Absolutely, and that's part of the discussion yesterday at this investor council, is how we can identify a fact and figures about best practice and then engage the discussion showing that, okay, we talk about Rwanda, they have some best practice. Other countries are also doing very positive things. And when we discuss a number of governments where there is the goodwill, saying that, okay, but then we can share a few other examples to discuss and to see what is relevant for you.
I love naming names, so I'm not going to put you on the spot. Oh, yeah, I will put you on the spot. We're talking 54 countries in Africa. Are there African countries that you've made a conscious corporate decision not to invest in?
Yes.
And they might be?
But for a number...
What do you mean, no?
For a number of reasons, first of all, as investor, and it was exactly your point. What is the capacity to repatriate capital? What is and so for us that's the key criteria, which is a no-go if as investor in tourism sector or in any other sectors you have some strong barriers to entry and penetrate the market.
And those countries where you say no, we're taking a pass, did they figure out why? Have they changed?
We are not in position then to enter in the politics and the government, and there may be plenty of reasons for that. So we have some markets which we believe are important with the potential. We keep an eye on that. We try to pass some message. And as soon as conditions evolve, and obviously this is taking a number of parameters, yes, we will be pleased to reconsider our position and to invest.
You're an enthusiastic investor. You're enthusiastic about Africa in general, in particular countries, of course. Specifically, what would you say right now on this stage is your biggest challenge?
This is to have the right understanding of what is the potential in the countries. I think you were in UAE not a long time ago when you are in a market, and a number of references are given to UAE, Dubai, and what is happening there is not happening by coincidence. I was there 15 years ago, and I was at the start of the discussion and the announcement. There is a vision, there is a long term, and this is now really endorsed at the level when you have the hospitality conference. This is the Minister of Economy and Finance who is opening with the view that it's 15% tourism, 15% of GDP, airline 15% of GDP. And then the point is how we have the understanding and the right level about what is at stake. If we communicate well on that, all the rest will follow. And yes, we are enthusiastic and confident in the future.
And not just in the short term, but in the long term.
Absolutely.
Olivier, thank you so much. Please thank Olivier.